The day broke with sky brushed in shades of gold and pink, as if the city itself wished to welcome those bold enough to dream. Eduardo, the successful businessman, hurried through the Central Park, adjusting his immaculate suit jacket, while keeping a sharp eye on the rhythm of the city around him. His confident steps echoed authority, but beneath the expensive suit and polished smile lay a weary routine, heavy with decisions that shaped every passing hour. Then he saw her, Mariana, dressed simply, her eyes glowing with curiosity, stumbled lightly over a stone while carrying a basket of flowers she sold to support her family. Without thinking, Eduardo reached out, catching the basket before it hit the ground. Their fingers brushed for a brief second, and the contact sparked a strange current, their eyes locking in an instant that felt like endless seconds. "Thank you." Mariana's voice was soft, cautious, yet sweet. "You saved my flowers." "It was nothing," Eduardo replied, surprised by a warmth that had nothing to do with the morning sun. "But you need to be more careful. I wouldn't want anything to ruin that smile so soon." Her gaze softened. There was something in his sincerity that pierced through the walls of the world she knew, one filled with limits and suspicion. For a fleeting moment, the differences between their lives seemed to dissolve, leaving only an unexpected connection. But not everything was so simple. Back at the family estate, Dona Helena, Eduardo's mother, watched the scene unfold on a security monitor pointed toward the park. Her chest tightened at the sight of her son, entangled with someone so ordinary. She frowned, her upper lip curling in disdain. "He cannot," she muttered, more to herself than to anyone else. "Not with someone like her. He needs a woman from our world, our status." Helena was known for her rigidity, her demands, her vanity. Nothing in her eyes could tarnish the family's image. And watching her son laugh, his eyes lingering on that girl with such interest, was utterly unacceptable. Meanwhile, Eduardo felt something stirring within him, a mix of admiration, curiosity, and something deeper, harder to name. Mariana might have appeared simple at first glance, but her energy, her authenticity, was magnetic. He knew this encounter would change the course of his days, though he couldn't yet imagine how fiercely his mother would stand against it. As they parted, the wind carried a few petals from Mariana's flowers, as if the city itself celebrated the moment. Eduardo promised himself he would find a way to see her again, unaware that every step toward Mariana would be shadowed by maternal disapproval, laying the ground for conflict, intrigue, and a romance strong enough to shake family foundations. And so, through glances, gestures, and soft words, fate began to weave its story, bringing together two different worlds and setting the stage for an intense tale of love, prejudice, and emotional trials. Days had passed since that first encounter, yet Eduardo couldn't get Mariana out of his mind. Every thought of her carried a mix of fascination and unease. Something in her authenticity touched a forgotten part of his heart, dulled by routine and the rigid world of high society. Determined to know her better, Eduardo returned to the park, this time with the excuse of buying flowers, though his true intention was to extend their time together. Mariana was there, arranging her blooms, when he approached with a more confident smile. "Hello again," Eduardo said, trying to sound casual, though the unexpected nervousness betrayed him. "Eduardo," Mariana replied, surprised and shy. "I didn't think you'd be back so soon. I can't forget the one who saved my mornings and my flowers." He smiled, hoping to break the ice. As they spoke, reality's tension began to creep into that fragile moment. Helena, Eduardo's mother, had learned through discreet allies at the park that her son had been spending time there. At once, her heart filled with anger and disdain. "He cannot," Helena muttered to herself before the mansion's mirror, one hand pressed to her temple. "I won't allow him to become involved with someone so ordinary. I'll do whatever it takes to stop him." Her mind was already at work, weaving strategies to end the bond before it could bloom. She knew simple reprimands would not be enough. To succeed, she would have to chip away at Eduardo's trust as freedom, convincing him that such a relationship was impossible, unsuitable, and dangerous for the family status. Meanwhile, Eduardo and Mariana spent long hours in the park, laughing and sharing stories from completely different worlds. Mariana spoke of her simple life, of the hardships she faced while supporting her family, while Eduardo described the responsibilities of the empire he had inherited, never losing his tenderness or sincerity. Each word drew them closer, their bond growing impossible to ignore. But Helena's shadow loomed, silent, calculating, threatening. She set her network in motion, having Eduardo followed and fed with whispered reports. Rumors began to circulate, subtle whispers in high society, designed to discredit Mariana and plant seeds of doubt in her son's heart. One afternoon, as Eduardo prepared for another meeting with Mariana, his phone rang. Helena's voice came through, firm, authoritative, laced with disapproval. "Eduardo, we need to talk." The weight of her words pressed heavily on him. He knew any conversation would be another attempt to manipulate, to drive him away from Mariana. But instead of retreating, something inside him grew stronger, a determination to protect what he felt, even if it meant confronting his own mother. "Mother, I don't want to fight, but I also can't ignore what I feel." His voice was calm, yet carried a firmness Helena had never heard from him before. The battle had only begun. Eduardo now stood at the crossroads between his growing love for Mariana and the crushing influence of a powerful mother. Every choice from here would shape not only their romance, but the very fabric of the family. As the sun set, painting the park in hues of orange and pink, Eduardo and Mariana walked side by side, fully aware of the trials waiting ahead. But in that moment, between laughter and shared glances, the world didn't matter. Love had found them, but the fight had only just begun. The clock marked the end of the afternoon as the city lit up with warm lights, reflected in glass windows and bustling streets. Eduardo and Mariana sat in a modest cafe, laughing and sharing stories of the day, when Eduardo's phone buzzed. On the screen appeared the name he least wanted to see at that moment. Helena. He drew in a deep breath, trying not to show his unease to Mariana, but he knew that call would bring nothing but tension. "Hi, Mother," he said, his voice striving to sound casual. "Eduardo, we need to talk about your choices," Helena began, her tone dripping with disapproval. "I don't want you seeing that girl. She isn't appropriate for you or for our family." Beside him, Mariana froze. A chill ran through her as she listened in silence. Though shy, she was beginning to realize Eduardo's world wasn't nearly as simple as it appeared. His mother was powerful, influential, capable of pulling strings all around him. "Mother, I can't just ignore what I feel," Eduardo answered firmly. "Mariana is special. I want to keep seeing her." The silence on the other end was brief but telling. Helena understood that words alone wouldn't be enough. She would need to take action. Quietly, she began weaving her web of obstacles. Canceled meetings disguised as urgent business, false invitations to family events, even subtle comments dropped among friends, planting seeds of doubt about Mariana's character. Meanwhile, Eduardo realized he had to protect the relationship while keeping it discreet. He began arranging more private encounters, choosing places far from curious eyes, always careful to shield Mariana from interference. For her part, Mariana felt the weight of prejudice and social difference pressing down on her, but with every moment spent at Eduardo's side, her determination grew stronger. She refused to be just a shadow in his life. She wanted to prove that, despite her humble background, she had dignity, courage, and intelligence. The first great test came later that same week, when Eduardo was invited to an important business event, an event where Helena would, of course, be present. He knew it would be impossible to bring Mariana without attracting judgmental whispers and cutting stares. "Mariana," he began, troubled, "I know it's hard, but maybe it's better if you don't come to this event." She looked him straight in the eye, steady and unafraid. "Eduardo, I may not have wealth or titles, but I'm proud of who I am. If you want me there, I'll go." His heart raced. In that moment, he realized this wasn't just about love. It was about trust, courage, and the will to face the world together. The night of the event, the air was thick with tension. Helena, elegant and cold, watched every move, ready to strike with sharp words or icy glares. Business partners and friends cast sidelong looks, some admiring Mariana's boldness, others judging her in silence. Yet Eduardo held her hand tightly, showing that what mattered was their bond, not the opinion surrounding them. Every glance, every shared smile became an act of defiance, a quiet declaration that they would not be broken. By the end of the night, as the guests dispersed and the city lights flickered outside, Eduardo and Mariana walked side by side down the illuminated street. They knew they had passed their first trial together. Helena's open disapproval. Greater challenges were still ahead, but they also knew the feeling binding them was strong enough to endure them all. The love story had begun, but the true fight for Eduardo's heart and for Mariana's acceptance was only just beginning. The days following the event left Eduardo and Mariana more connected than ever, but also under sharper surveillance. Helena was not about to yield. Every smile, every gesture her son directed toward the humble young woman became fuel for her frustration, a fire she stoked relentlessly. Inside the mansion, Helena gathered close allies, people of influence within society and the family's business network, laying out her schemes with meticulous care. Her voice was cold, calculated, laced with authority. "They cannot go on like this," Helena declared, her fingers gliding across the marble of her office table. "Mariana must be discredited. Eduardo has to see that he's making a mistake." She began with whispers, subtle rumors that Mariana was nothing but an opportunist chasing status. Details of her background were twisted, painted as shameful or inadequate. Each fabrication was carefully woven to avoid suspicion, but designed to plant quiet doubts in Eduardo's heart. Meanwhile, Eduardo and Mariana continued meeting. Every moment together was precious, filled with laughter, deep conversations, and knowing glances. But the shadow of Helena's disapproval never left them. Eduardo felt the tension mounting, sensing something was coming, though he couldn't imagine the scale of his mother's designs. During one of their encounters, Mariana finally voiced her fears. "Eduardo, I don't want to be a problem for you," she said, clutching his hand tightly. "I know your mother doesn't accept me, and I don't want to disrupt your life." "Mariana, you're not a problem," he answered, his gaze steady and unwavering. "If someone can't see who you truly are, that's their problem, not yours." But even as he offered comfort, Helena had already escalated her campaign. She hired a private investigator to dig into Mariana's past, searching for anything that could tarnish her reputation. Each phone call Eduardo received, every subtle remark from family acquaintances, was another thread in Helena's carefully woven plan. Mariana, though humble, was sharp and perceptive. She noticed the strange looks, the whispers, the mounting tension, yet she refused to bow. Her strength came from her conviction that her love for Eduardo could not be destroyed by prejudice or envy. Then Helena took an even bolder step. She invited Eduardo to a family lunch, failing to mention that Mariana had also been invited by design, not mistake. The trap was clear: to humiliate Mariana in public, before friends and business partners, and prove she did not belong in Eduardo's world. When Eduardo realized what was happening, his chest tightened. He knew he had to protect Mariana, while also maintaining composure before his mother and the guests. Drawing a deep breath, he resolved not to let Helena dictate his emotions or his relationship. At the luncheon, as Helena cast icy stares and veiled barbs, Eduardo quietly rested his hand over Mariana's on the table. It was a silent signal of support. Mariana, feeling the gesture, drew strength from it. She knew every word, every glance from Helena was nothing more than another obstacle, not a verdict on her worth or their love. By the end of the gathering, Eduardo and Mariana walked to the car side by side, exhausted but strengthened. The day had made it clear that Helena would not back down easily, and that their fight for acceptance, respect, and love would be grueling. But in that moment, through weary smiles and whispered words, they knew their bond was stronger than any intrigue. Back at the mansion, Helena watched their departure from the window, her face set in stone, her heart tight with resolve. What she didn't realize was that every attempt to tear them apart only bound Eduardo and Mariana closer together, fueling their determination to protect what they had found. And so, as the evening sky turned shades of orange and purple, a new chapter began, one of fiercer plots, greater challenges, and a love that grew quietly, yet unbreakably, between two souls from different worlds. The days passed in a rhythm of discreet meetings and stolen smiles between Eduardo and Mariana, but Helena found no rest. Her mind churned with strategies and intrigues, each more elaborate than the last, all designed to tear the couple apart at any cost. She began enlisting Eduardo's closest allies, trying to sway his decisions and chip away at his trust in Mariana. Meanwhile, Eduardo found himself torn between the love blossoming in his heart and the relentless pressure of his mother. The weight of this duality bore down on him. On one side, the longing to be with Mariana. On the other, the responsibility of managing Helena's influence over the family and the business. He knew that every step toward Mariana had to be cautious, but his heart refused to follow caution. Sensing the tension, Mariana chose honesty. "Eduardo, I know your mother doesn't like me," she said, her eyes shimmering with worry. "But I don't want to become a source of problems for you." He cupped her face tenderly, his eyes burning with resolve and passion. "Mariana, you're not a problem. If someone can't see your worth, that's their problem, not yours." But even in that warmth, Helena's shadow loomed close. She had sent anonymous messages to Eduardo's business partners, insinuating that Mariana's intentions were questionable. At the same time, she laced conversations with acidic remarks, hoping to fracture Eduardo's confidence in the woman he loved. The first direct confrontation came at a family dinner. Helena, cold and precise, turned her full attention to Mariana, her words sharp as blades. "Mariana, do you truly believe you belong in this world?" Helena asked, her smile cutting. "I don't wish to be unkind, but we must be honest about who you are." Mariana drew a steady breath, holding on to her composure, her dignity, her courage. "Dona Helena, I may not have been born into this world, but I have honor, integrity, and courage, and I stand beside Eduardo because my love for him is genuine." Eduardo's chest swelled with pride and relief. Mariana had passed the trial by fire with grace, and it only deepened his commitment to her. But Helena would not relent. She began weaving bolder plans, strategic alliances, quiet acts of sabotage, even the prospect of arranging a marriage for Eduardo with someone from her circle, hoping he might bend to tradition and expectation. As Helena tightened her grip, Eduardo and Mariana clung to moments of intimacy. Each gesture brimmed with meaning. Each laugh, each shared dream was another quiet victory against a storm pressing in on them. They walked hand in hand to parks, shielding themselves from whispers and schemes, their bond growing stronger with every trial. One evening, as the sky turned shades of gold and purple with the setting sun, Eduardo looked at Mariana with steady conviction. "I know my mother will do everything to separate us, but I'm ready to face whatever comes, because you're worth every battle." Mariana smiled, courage and hope radiating through her. "Then we'll face it together," she said, gripping his hand tightly, "and prove that true love can overcome any barrier." And so, as night fell and the city lights flickered to life, Eduardo and Mariana's love burned brighter, readying itself for greater challenges, bolder intrigues, and moments of raw emotion that still lay ahead. Eduardo and Mariana carried on with their romance, hidden within small routines and secret meetings, but Helena's presence loomed like a constant shadow. The businessman's mother was no longer content with disapproving glances or sharp reprimands. Now, she sought to manipulate others, weaving her influence through indirect means. She moved in silence, inviting Eduardo's closest friends to social gatherings and dropping subtle remarks about Mariana, hinting that the young woman might be after nothing more than his fortune. Every comment, every carefully measured gesture, was designed to sow doubt in Eduardo's heart without ever appearing too deliberate. "We need him to see the truth," Helena told society friend, her smile cold and calculating. "Mariana doesn't belong in this world. She doesn't understand the responsibilities, the weight he carries." Eduardo must realize that before it's too late. The pressure was beginning to show. Some of Eduardo's friends asked questions, made quiet observations, probing to uncover who Mariana really was and what she wanted. Eduardo bristled at these intrusions, yet he also worried about the toll such whispers might take on her. He knew he had to shield Mariana from every misunderstanding and rumor Helena set loose. But Mariana was no fool. She sensed the growing tension, the curious stares, the malicious whispers, the invisible presence of Eduardo's mother haunting their every step. And yet, her resolve did not falter. If anything, each attempt to drive him apart only sharpened her courage. The first real test of Helena's manipulation came during a business cocktail party, where Eduardo's partners and acquaintances filled the room. Helena had arranged for Mariana to be there, surrounded by sharp eyes and silent judgment. "Hello, Mariana," said one of Helena's acquaintances, flashing a false smile. "I hope you're enjoying yourself, even if this isn't exactly your circle." Mariana inhaled deeply, steadying her posture, holding fast to her dignity. Each word of veiled disdain only reminded her that her worth was not measured by social standing, but by character. Eduardo noticed immediately. He crossed the room, took her hand in his, and looked into her eyes with quiet conviction. "Forget all of this. I know who you are, and I know how much you mean to me." That simple gesture carried immense weight. It washed over Mariana like a wave of reassurance. She understood then that Eduardo's love was not passive. He was ready to stand beside her, no matter who opposed him. But Helena's resolve did not waver. After the party, she tightened her grip, holding private conversations with Eduardo's allies, twisting details, planting falsehoods, reinforcing the idea that Mariana was unfit for him. Her goal was patience. Not to shatter their bond at once, but to erode it little by little until it collapsed under the pressure. Yet Eduardo and Mariana's connection held fast. Each scheme Helena devised became another test of patience, trust, and devotion together. The two learned to communicate more openly, to lean on one another, to face the world as a united front against the forces that sought to divide them. As they strolled through the city at dusk, the golden glow of the setting sun reflected across glass towers. Mariana sighed. "Eduardo, it feels like nothing will ever be easy for us, does it?" "Nothing worth having ever is," he answered, tightening his grip on her hand. "But we're together, that's what matters." Their bond deepened with each passing day, stronger than rumors, stronger than schemes, stronger than prejudice. Helena, despite all her influence, had yet to see that the harder she tried to drive him apart, the closer Eduardo and Mariana grew. And so, their romance continued to bloom in the shadow of a controlling mother, promising greater challenges, difficult choices, and powerful moments still to come, moments that would test the true meaning of love, trust, and courage. That morning, the sun cast golden rays across the city, reflecting off glass facades and illuminating every detail along Eduardo's path to the office. Yet even amid the demands of his routine, his mind lingered on Mariana. Every gesture, every word they had shared in recent days felt more intense, more meaningful. Eduardo could no longer see their bond as fleeting passion. It was something deeper, something that was changing him. As he walked, discreet alerts buzzed on his phone. Helena was moving her pieces on the board. This time, her plan was audacious, turning a public event into a stage to humiliate Mariana, to question her place, and above all, to test her son's patience and resolve. When they arrived at the elegant hall, filled with businessmen and powerful figures of high society, the atmosphere was thick with expectation and silent judgment. Helena was already in position, graceful, poised, her smile calculated, her sharp eyes scanning every detail, ready to strike. "Eduardo, you brought the young woman, didn't you?" she asked, her tone deceptively casual yet dripping with disdain. "I hope you understand this isn't exactly a place where she can shine." Mariana felt the tension immediately, but she drew a steady breath, her posture firm. Every step toward the center of that room became an act of courage. Eduardo's hand held hers tightly, a steady anchor of confidence and protection. The first challenge came swiftly, Helena's voice slicing through the hum of the crowd. "Tell us, Mariana, how do you expect to fit into a world so different from your own?" Each syllable was deliberate, crafted a sting to expose. Mariana glanced around, meeting the watchful eyes of the guests. Some curious, some skeptical, others quietly impressed. With steady conviction, she answered, "I'm not here to replace anyone, nor pretend to be something I'm not. I love Eduardo. I'm willing to learn, to respect this world, but never at the cost of denying who I truly am." The silence that followed was heavy, lingering. Then Eduardo exhaled, pride swelling in his chest. Mariana had not only endured the provocation, She had begun to earn the respect of those watching. Helena's brow tightened. Her attempt had failed. Her son's companion was not fragile. She was resilient, but Helena would not relent. After the event, her schemes grew more intricate. She enlisted Eduardo's business allies, weaving subtle traps, crafting financial and social obstacles meant to undermine his trust in Mariana. Still, Mariana held strong. Each trial tested her, but also strengthened their love. Together, she and Eduardo learned to share their fears openly, to lean on one another, to face the unyielding shadow of his mother as one. That night, as they walked hand in hand through a city park bathed in soft lights, Eduardo squeezed her hand and declared, "Every obstacle she throws at us only proves what we have is real. I won't let anything break this." "Neither will I," Mariana replied with a steady smile. "We'll face it all together and prove that true love can overcome any barrier." As the moon rose above the skyline, casting a silver glow across the city, the couple walked side by side, knowing the battle against Helena had only just begun. Yet they also knew that courage, integrity, and love would be their strongest weapons against any intrigue. And so, through quiet glances and wordless vows, Eduardo and Mariana's story pressed forward, toward new trials, emotional twists, and decisive moments that would test the very strength of love and trust itself. Eduardo's office was quiet that morning, broken only by the steady rhythm of keyboards and the occasional ring of telephones. But the calm was deceiving. Beneath it pulsed a storm of tension. Helena had chosen to escalate her game. It was no longer enough to manipulate friends or orchestrate public embarrassments. Now, she was striking directly at her son's business, weaving disruptions meant to spark conflict and emotional strain. Her moves were subtle at first. Strategic partners and key clients were influenced behind the scenes. Meetings with investors were canceled at the last minute. Contracts were mysteriously delayed. Small failures crept into projects, always with the whisper that Eduardo was distracted. The goal was clear: to make him question Mariana's presence, to plant the idea that she was undermining his professional focus. Eduardo, however, noticed the pattern. He refused to let Helena manipulate his mind or his heart. Still, the pressure weighed heavily. Every unexpected phone call, every sly comment gnawed at him, his greatest fear being that Mariana might feel guilty or unworthy. Mariana, too, began to sense that these obstacles were no coincidence. The hushed silence of staff, the probing stares, the whispered rumors, everything pointed to a deeper scheme. But instead of retreating, she stood firm. "Eduardo, we can't let her divide us or make us doubt each other," she said with quiet strength. "Every obstacle is proof that we're on the right path." Her words steadied him. Eduardo smiled, his heart strengthened by the courage of the woman he loved. Each moment, each declaration of loyalty, tightened their bond. He knew the battle with his mother would be long, but true love demanded perseverance. The turning point came during a high-stakes meeting with international investors. Helena had planted false information, insinuating that Mariana was unfit to handle certain responsibilities, hoping to spark quiet humiliation. But Eduardo refused to allow the poison to spread. "I will not let baseless rumors dictate important decisions," he declared, meeting the investors' eyes. "Mariana has proven herself with competence, ethics, and dedication, qualities his company values above all else." The room shifted. Eduardo's unwavering confidence not only validated Mariana, but also began to erode Helena's influence. What was meant to shame them, instead, reinforced their unity. Each trap Helena set only made the couple stronger, but frustration burned in Helena. Her attempts to sow doubt had failed, and her mind turned to bolder strategies, aligning with rival businesses, creating physical and emotional distance, even manufacturing subtle financial crises to strain the relationship. Mariana, aware of the scale of the battle, felt herself growing. Each trial faced alongside Eduardo deepened her courage and maturity, transforming their romance into something larger than passion. It was becoming a partnership built on resilience and trust. Later that afternoon, after a day of tense meetings and quiet victories, Eduardo and Mariana walked through the park. The sky, streaked with gold and purple, seemed to honor their unspoken triumph. No matter what she does, Eduardo said, gripping her hand firmly. "We're in this together. Every obstacle only makes us stronger." "Yes," Mariana answered with a confident smile. "And we'll prove that true love outlasts any manipulation or intrigue." And so, even as Helena plotted more elaborate schemes, the couple pressed forward, each step forging a love determined to withstand adversity, proving that courage, trust, and genuine devotion were far stronger than control, power, or wealth. The morning sun filtered through the windows of Mariana's modest home, casting light across every simple yet welcoming corner. But beneath that quiet glow, tension stirred. Helena, realizing she couldn't drive the couple apart through direct manipulations alone, had begun working behind the scenes, pulling in people close to Mariana, family, friends, even co-workers. The first strike came as an anonymous phone call, spreading rumors to distant relatives. It painted Mariana as someone using Eduardo for his wealth, nothing more, though false. The words cut deeply, leaving her to face doubt and suspicion from people who had always trusted her. "Mariana, are you sure this is the right choice?" her younger sister asked, hesitantly echoing the seeds Helena had sown. "Yes," Mariana replied, steady despite the knot in her stomach. "I love Eduardo. Nothing will make me abandon my principles." But the ripples spread further. Friends she thought she could rely on were suddenly guarded, their trust shaken by twisted comments. Small misunderstandings grew, subtle yet enough to test Mariana's resilience. Eduardo, watching from the other side, saw the pressure closing in around her. He knew his mother had escalated her schemes. Each rumor, each poison word reported back to him, tightened the ache in his chest. Determined to shield Mariana, he chose to act carefully, strengthening their communication and reminding her of his unwavering trust. "Don't let what others say weigh on you," he told her one evening, holding her hand firmly as they walked through the park. "I know who you are, and I know what you mean to me." "Thank you, Eduardo," Mariana whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "But it's not easy. Every word that reaches the people I love cuts deep." The emotional war had only just begun. Helena, convinced that social and familial pressure would be more effective than mere public barbs, arranged subtle confrontations. Moments where Mariana would be questioned, cornered, even humiliated by those Helena had carefully influenced. Her aim was sharp, to drive insecurity deep enough to make Mariana question her own place by Eduardo's side. But instead, each challenge only drew the couple closer. Eduardo became her unshakable pillar, proving with every word and gesture that mutual trust and shared courage outlasted any smear campaign. The most trying moment came at a simple family dinner, when Mariana's sister, her mind clouded by Helena's whispers, challenged her openly about the relationship. With grace and quiet strength, Mariana laid out her love and commitment clearly, her maturity shining through. Eduardo, proud and resolute, stood by her side, declaring his trust in her untouchable. That confrontation marked a turning point. Helena believed she was eroding the bond, but in truth, she was hardening it. Every rumor, every doubt, every uncomfortable silence became a chance for Mariana to display her strength, courage, and honesty. Later that night, as the two walked beneath the city's soft lights, Eduardo held her hand tightly. "See? Every obstacle only proves how connected we are. They can't separate us." "And they won't," Mariana answered, her smile firm, "because our love isn't built on what others say. It's built on the trust and courage we share." Even as Helena devised new schemes, weaving deeper layers of manipulation, Eduardo and Mariana moved forward together, aware that their fight for love would demand patience, strategy, and unshakable resilience. And so, beneath the rising moon that bathed the city in silver light, they walked side by side, every step solidifying a love prepared to endure, ready to face the boldest challenges and the most intricate intrigues still waiting ahead. Eduardo's office was quiet that morning, save for the distant hum of city traffic. But the calm was deceptive. Helena had decided it was time to act more directly. Rumors, intrigues, and indirect manipulations were no longer enough. Now, she wanted a face-to-face confrontation, using the authority and influence she wielded to pressure him into decisions that would put Mariana in an uncomfortable position. She entered the building unannounced, elegant and composed, her expression cold and controlled. Her steps echoed through the corridor as she approached her son's office. Eduardo felt a familiar tightening in his chest, the signal that his mother was about to challenge him. He drew a deep breath, determined not to yield, fully aware that this would be a critical moment. "Eduardo," Helena said without preamble, her voice sharp, "we need to talk. About you and this young woman." "Mother, if this is about Mariana, we've already talked," Eduardo replied, firm, his voice steady. "I'm not giving up on her." Helena smiled, but the chill in her eyes was unmistakable. "You don't understand, my son. She doesn't belong in this world, and she won't adapt. Think about your responsibilities, the legacy of our family. Are you willing to risk all of that for a passing feeling?" "It's not passing. I love Mariana. And if that means facing any obstacle, I'm willing," Eduardo said, standing to show he would not be intimidated. The tension was palpable. Realizing words alone would not suffice, Helena shifted to subtler strategies, mentioning influential allies, strategic contracts, and minor business crises that could occur if he insisted on keeping the relationship. Each detail carefully crafted to frame his decision as a choice between love and duty. Meanwhile, Mariana, unaware of the confrontation specifics, sensed a growing pressure. Small signals, interrupted calls, and changes in Eduardo's behavior hinted that something serious was underway. She knew his mother wielded immense power, and any confrontation could threaten their romance. But Eduardo held his ground. He understood Helena's attempt at manipulation and knew that giving in would compromise not only his love for Mariana, but also his freedom to choose. "Mother, I respect you and everything you've built," he said sincerely, "but my life will not be guided by fear or the expectations of others. I choose Mariana, and I will not let anyone belittle her or come between us." Silence filled the office. Helena, taken aback by her son's firmness, realized her intimidation had failed, and in fact it strengthened his resolve. She drew a deep breath, reassessing her strategy. Perhaps it was time to acknowledge that true love could not be controlled by money or status alone. At the same time, Eduardo called Mariana, carefully explaining what happened to avoid worrying her unnecessarily. The call also served as a show of support and trust, affirming that, despite the pressure, he stood firmly by her side. "Mariana, everything's fine. I won't let anything or anyone interfere with what we feel," he said, his voice steady but full of emotion. "I trust you, Eduardo," Mariana replied, her voice trembling with feeling. "We'll face this together, as always." The confrontation marked a turning point. Helena realized her influence had limits, and that the bond between Eduardo and Mariana was stronger than any intrigue, manipulation, or external pressure. By the end of the day, as the sky blazed with golden and purple hues, Eduardo and Mariana met in the park, both exhausted yet fortified. Every challenge faced, every manipulation perceived, had strengthened their relationship. They knew obstacles lay ahead, but also knew that together, they could overcome anything. And so, even with Helena plotting new strategies, the couple walked hand in hand, ready to face the next chapter of their story, aware that courage, trust, and true love were their greatest weapons. After the direct confrontation between Eduardo and Helena, Mariana realized that waiting for things to resolve on their own would not be enough. The love she felt for Eduardo needed to be defended with both courage and intelligence. She began carefully observing every move Helena made, each attempt at manipulation, every comment that could interfere with their relationship. Determined, Mariana gathered information about Helena's allies and strategies. She discovered that many of the rumors, canceled meetings, and minor obstacles had originated directly from Eduardo's mother. But instead of feeling intimidated, she decided to turn that knowledge into action. "Eduardo," she said in a calm yet firm tone during one conversation, "we need to think strategically. We can't just react. We have to anticipate." He looked at her, surprised, yet proud. Mariana, who had always seemed like the more vulnerable one, was now taking the initiative. "I'm listening," he replied, intrigued. Mariana suggested small adjustments to their daily lives. Discreet meetings, strategic communications with trusted people, and tighter control over public exposure so Helena wouldn't have opportunities to interfere. Every action was carefully planned to protect not just the relationship, but the dignity and integrity of both of them. At the same time, Mariana strengthened her connections with friends and family, ensuring that any doubts or rumors were quickly addressed. Her ability to handle delicate situations became a support system for Eduardo, proving that she was not only the woman he loved, but also a strategic ally capable of facing complex challenges. One crucial moment came during a charity event, where Helena had planned to create public embarrassment. Mariana arrived with Eduardo, carrying herself with confidence and a calm smile. She anticipated potential traps, established connections with key people, and projected involvement and preparation, neutralizing any attempt at humiliation. "Impressive," Eduardo murmured, watching her handle the situation with poise and intelligence. "I don't know how you stay so calm and firm through all of this." "Because when you love someone, every obstacle is just a test," Mariana replied, her eyes shining with determination. Helena, in turn, realized her usual strategies were failing. Every attempt to create tension or doubt was met by Mariana's courage and cleverness, earning quiet respect from influential people around her. This shift put Eduardo at ease. He knew that Mariana not only faced challenges with dignity, but was becoming a respected and admired presence among the important people in his life. Their trust in each other deepened, strengthened by the fact that together, they could confront his controlling mother and her manipulations. At the end of the night, walking under the soft city lights, Mariana spoke to Eduardo about what they had achieved. "Every challenge we face together makes us stronger, and every strategy we apply proves that we can overcome anything." "I agree," he said, holding her tightly. "And seeing you like this, brave and determined, only makes me love you even more." And so, with intelligence, courage, and unity, Mariana and Eduardo continued to face the obstacles Helena imposed, showing that true love is not just a feeling. It's also strategy, patience, and perseverance. Each step strengthened their bond and prepared the couple for even greater challenges, proving that the power of genuine love can overcome manipulation, intrigue, and external pressures. The mansion was silent that night, but the stillness was only apparent. Helena was planning her boldest move yet. Aware that Mariana and Eduardo were more united and strategic than ever, she decided to resort to drastic measures. Unexpected alliances, document manipulation, and attempts to create a deep emotional crisis that could shake the couple. Eduardo, on the other hand, felt a growing tension. He knew something significant was coming, but he could not anticipate the scale of Helena's scheme. Mariana, confident and observant, also noticed subtle signs: intercepted phone calls, small changes in behavior of those around them, curious glances, and unexpected questions. Helena began her attack by creating a false financial alert. One of Eduardo's strategic contracts would supposedly be reviewed, and rumors of instability spread among investors and close allies. The aim was simple: generate fear and anxiety, making Eduardo believe that maintaining his relationship with Mariana could seriously jeopardize his career and reputation. "Do you really think now is the time to take a risk with her?" asked an investor, influenced by Helena, unaware of the manipulation behind the comment. Perhaps it would be wise to reconsider before bigger problems arise. Although shaken, Eduardo did not let himself be intimidated. He took a deep breath, recalling Mariana's words and courage, and replied firmly, "Mariana is part of my life and my decisions. I will not allow unfounded rumors or manipulations to pull me away from her." Meanwhile, Helena escalated her efforts, involving Mariana's acquaintances, to create misunderstandings and conflicts that could make the couple question their mutual trust. But every attempt was anticipated or neutralized by Mariana's intelligence and strategic foresight, honed through previous challenges. At a critical moment, Helena confronted Eduardo directly in his office, bringing up accusations and false allegations about Mariana. The tension was almost tangible, each word loaded with threat and emotional manipulation. "Eduardo, you're blind. Don't you see she only wants your money?" Helena demanded, her voice firm and relentless. "No, mother," he replied, calm but resolute. "I see who she truly is, and I trust her completely. I will not let you destroy what we've built together. Sensing the confrontation, Mariana entered the office, taking Eduardo's hand with determination. "Helena," she said firmly, "you can try everything, but our love is not built on appearances or wealth. It is based on trust, respect, and truth. Nothing you do can change that." The atmosphere reached its peak. Every word, every gesture was a test of strength, courage, and integrity. For the first time, Helena realized that her strategies and manipulations had not only failed, but had strengthened the couple's bond. The power she thought she wielded, based on influence and money, seemed powerless against the genuine force of love and trust. After minutes that felt like hours, Helena left quietly, recognizing that the emotional and strategic battle had been lost. Eduardo and Mariana remained together, breathing a sigh of relief, feeling that each challenge they had overcome had further solidified their connection. As they walked to the park that night, under the soft glow of the moon, Eduardo held Mariana's hand firmly and said, "See, every obstacle, every manipulation has only brought us closer. There is no force in the world that can separate us." "I know," Mariana replied, smiling, "and now we know that together we can face anything, without fear, without doubt." And so, the couple emerged victorious from their first major test, strengthened by the love, courage, and trust they shared. Every challenge they faced proved that true unity cannot be destroyed by manipulation, wealth, or power, but is instead reinforced by mutual respect, patience, and determination. Oh, ChatGPT Ds. The days following the direct confrontation were marked by a tense calm. Helena, still resentful, began to realize that her actions no longer had the desired effect. Every attempt at manipulation failed in the face of the solid union between Eduardo and Mariana. The couple, now more confident and strategic, had learned to anticipate and neutralize the obstacles Helena created. Mariana used this period to strengthen her relationship with Eduardo, balancing moments of intimacy with constructive discussions about their future. They talked about careers, personal dreams, and even strategies to deal with Helena's influence, always supporting one another. "Eduardo," Mariana said as they walked to the park, "I've realized that when we're together, no pressure or manipulation seems to affect us. Our strength lies in the trust we have in each other." "Exactly," he replied, holding her hand firmly. "Every challenge we've faced has only proven that we are stronger together." Helena, meanwhile, began to sense that her strategies no longer held sway. She understood that the genuine love between Mariana and Eduardo could not be destroyed by intrigue, emotional manipulation, or financial pressure. Mariana's determination and courage, combined with Eduardo's steadfastness, made any attempt at separation futile. Over time, Helena started to reflect on her actions. For the first time, she saw that her son's relationship was not about opportunism or interest, but about true love built on sincerity, respect, and courage. This realization did not completely erase her pride or initial disapproval, but opened a small space for her to gradually accept Mariana in Eduardo's life. Meanwhile, Mariana and Eduardo began planning joint projects, integrating not only their personal lives, but also their professional endeavors. Mariana demonstrated leadership, intelligence, and empathy, winning over key allies and proving that her presence was positive in every sphere of Eduardo's life. A symbolic moment of consolidation occurred when the couple attended a major social event where Helena was present. This time, Mariana not only maintained impeccable composure, but was praised by influential allies, solidifying her reputation and integrity. Eduardo, proud, realized that his choice had been the right one, and that their relationship was finally free from the shadows of his mother's manipulation. "See, Mother," Eduardo said during a conversation with Helena, "Mariana has proven her worth not only to me, but to everyone around us. I couldn't be more certain that she belongs by my side." Helena remained silent, absorbing his words. A mixture of respect, quiet pride, and resignation began to replace her former hostility. She understood that, despite her desire to control and protect, her son's true love was untouchable. Mariana, noticing the shift in Helena's attitude, felt profound relief. She had not only won Eduardo's heart, but was also beginning to carve out a space of respect and acceptance within the family. That night, the couple walked under the starry sky, celebrating small victories, sharing dreams and reaffirming their commitment to each other. Every obstacle they overcame reinforced their love and strengthened their certainty that, together, they could face any adversity. "Eduardo, now I feel that nothing and no one can separate us," Mariana said, smiling, her eyes shining with happiness. "And so it shall be," he replied, kissing her forehead tenderly. "Our love is strong, true, and unshakable." Thus, the couple consolidated their union, learning that genuine love requires courage, patience, communication, and strategic partnership. Helena, finally, began to accept reality. No force had destroyed the connection they had formed, and her resistance to true love had come to an end. The months that followed were marked by a sense of renewal for Eduardo and Mariana. Without Helena's constant interference, the couple could finally enjoy moments of tranquility, trust, and personal growth. The shadow of manipulation and pressure had lifted, allowing them to nurture not only their romantic relationship, but also their joint professional and social projects. Mariana became increasingly influential in circles that had once seemed out of reach. Her determination, intelligence, and empathy earned her important allies, proving that her presence beside Eduardo was not just acceptable, but valuable. She took on responsibilities in social and business projects with ethical, collaborative leadership, earning respect and admiration from all around. Eduardo, in turn, felt a profound relief. The security of having Mariana by his side strengthened him emotionally and allowed him to focus fully on his ambitions and business, free from the weight of familial hostility. Together, they became a powerful team, not only through their love, but through mutual trust and understanding of each other's strengths. Helena, now realizing that her manipulations no longer had power, began observing the couple with a mixture of reluctant respect. She quietly recognized that the relationship between Mariana and Eduardo was neither fleeting nor superficial. The young woman's love, courage, and intelligence had proven to be untouchable. "Eduardo," Helena said during a family dinner, her tone more restrained and almost shy, "I see that you made a solid choice. Mariana truly is remarkable." Eduardo smiled, sensing that this shift signified not only the end of intrigues, but also the possibility of a more harmonious future. Mariana, standing beside him, felt immense relief, recognizing that Helena's acceptance, though gradual, was finally beginning. With peace restored, the couple began to enjoy simple yet meaningful moments. Walks in the park, quiet dinners, and long conversations became routine, strengthening their intimacy and emotional bond. Every gesture, smile, and embrace further cemented the certainty that they were building a future together based on trust and genuine love. Their social and professional lives also stabilized. Mariana gained recognition for her leadership, strategic engagement, and unwavering integrity, while Eduardo felt able to unite his personal and professional worlds without conflict. At a charitable event, the couple was publicly praised for their ethical conduct, generosity, and commitment to social causes. Surrounded by respected and influential figures, Mariana and Eduardo realized they had overcome every adversity. Their love had not only endured external pressures, but had grown stronger, becoming an example of partnership, courage, and resilience. That night, walking side by side under the starlit sky, Eduardo held Mariana's hand firmly and said, "See, every battle, every obstacle has brought us here. We're together, stronger than ever." "Yes," Mariana replied, smiling, "and now we can truly enjoy what we've achieved. Our love has triumphed." Thus, free from Helena's pressures and manipulations, Eduardo and Mariana consolidated their romance, demonstrating that courage, trust, and unity can overcome any challenge, creating a lasting, solid, and inspiring love story. The dawn brought a soft light over the city and the farm, as if the world itself were celebrating the peace Eduardo and Mariana had achieved. Every challenge overcome, every obstacle surmounted, had strengthened not only their love, but also the trust, respect, and closeness they shared. In the past months, they had learned together that love is not just a feeling. It is action, partnership, and courage. Helena, finally, had ceased her attempts at manipulation, realizing that the bond between Mariana and Eduardo was unbreakable. Her presence, still formal and imposing, no longer brought tension or fear. On the farm, the couple enjoyed a sunny day. The gentle wind swayed the grass and trees, bringing a sense of freedom and renewal. They walked side by side, sharing laughter, conversations, and small gestures of affection, all signs of the intimacy they had built through effort and dedication. "Do you remember when everything seemed impossible?" Mariana said, holding Eduardo's hand firmly. "Every obstacle, every intrigue, it felt like we'd never get here." "I remember," he replied with a smile, "and each challenge only made our union stronger. Today I can say with certainty, there's nothing we can't face together." The day continued with small celebrations, public recognition of Mariana's work, respect gained socially and professionally, and the simple joy of being together, free from pressures or manipulations. Every victory, no matter how small, symbolized overcoming adversity and building a solid future. Helena, watching from a distance, finally smiled, though still proud and cautious. She acknowledged that she had lost a battle against genuine love and Mariana's courage. Her silent acceptance marked the end of the conflict and the beginning of a new phase for everyone. Eduardo led Mariana to a clearing on the farm, surrounded by trees and flowers, a place symbolizing hope and renewal. "Mariana," he said, looking into her eyes, "every step we've taken together has led us to this moment. I want you to know there's nothing I want more than to spend my life by your side." Mariana smiled, deeply moved, feeling every word touch her heart. "Eduardo, I want that too," she replied, tenderly and firmly. "Every challenge has strengthened us, and now we're ready to fully live our love." They embraced, a gesture full of emotion, representing not just a union of two people, but the triumph of courage, trust, and true love over any adversity. The wind seemed to celebrate the harmony, as if nature itself recognized the strength of their connection. As they walked together, Eduardo and Mariana reflected on all they had overcome: intrigues, pressures, manipulations, and fears. Each experience had shaped them, strengthened them, and drawn them closer, creating an unbreakable bond. And so, their story reached a point of perfect balance. A solid romance built on respect, courage, intelligence, and mutual trust. Helena, now neutralized, watched in silence, recognizing that true power lies not in manipulation, but in allowing love to flourish freely. That sunset, as the last golden rays illuminated the farm, Eduardo and Mariana knew they had gained more than a romance. They had earned the freedom to love, the strength to endure, and the certainty that together, nothing could shake the union they had built with effort and dedication. And so, side by side, walking toward a future full of happiness, they closed this chapter of their lives, ready to live a lasting, unshakable, and inspiring love story, a symbol of the heart's victory over any obstacle.